Whenever I travel around, I always come across this same problem with people. They always come up to me and say, how do I keep my kitchen knives sharp? I don't know why, but people are more than willing to pay £5,000, £6,000, £7,000 or dollars on getting a new kitchen, but at the end of the day, still they haven't got anything to sharpen their knives. One of those things. If you do use a traditional steel, the biggest problem with that is that all that does is realigns an edge. So you start off with a very nice shape on your knives here, and as it's just realigning that edge, you end up with very, very thick shoulders on the knife, and that's when people either go to a grinder or you see the butchers coming in really hard. All they're trying to do is batter around that edge to get some sort of decent finish. Can't do it. I'm going to use the Trend diamond steel, which that is heavy duty. We've already established how fine that feels, and at the end of the day we want to achieve an edge on your kitchen knives which is like that. I think you'll agree that's the sort of edge that we want to go for. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to re-shoulder the blade. I'm going to bring those shoulders back down. The finer you work it to the steel, the more of a filleting edge, the more of the angle, the more of a boning edge. So using this steel, I just put it down here. I come in here. The shallower the angle, the more of a filleting edge. So I'm going to try and put a filleting edge on there. So I'm just coming out there. The ideal angle is about 16.734 degrees. So yeah, that's it. So just in a light circular motion. Now, Mark can probably notice this. I don't know if you can on the camera, but I am applying no pressure to that whatsoever. I am letting the diamond do the work, and all I am doing is putting a new shoulder on that knife. You will only do this to your knives once. Now we want to do the other shoulder. Rather than coming in round this way, which I find a little bit awkward, I find it just as easy to turn it over flat and come in and do the other shoulder like so. I stress, we're only going to do this to your knives once because we're re-shouldering it, and these diamond steels remove a bit of material from the blade on each stroke. I have re-shouldered that. Even though that feels so fine, that is what I have just taken from the blade. It is very surprising the power of cut that is involved here. So we've re-shouldered the blade, now we need to put the edge on. I wouldn't recommend you do it the way that I call the macho way, which is this, which is the way all the butchers do it, because first of all you're going to remove your thumb at some stage, which is never good news. But the second thing is that when you do the backward stroke, a lot of people tend to do this, which means you're increasing that angle and you're just going to take the whole of the edge off. So it's difficult to keep a similar sort of angle doing it that way around. I like to teach this method of holding the steel just straight out, lay that flat, a slight angle, and if you take this slowly on one side, all you're doing then is coming in from the other side. So that alternate strokes is important, but that way round, all you're doing is just slightly turning that wrist. That's a very effective way to doing it. And also, you can do it the way that the fishmongers do it, or the fishermen, which is coming down that way, or you can bring it down that way, because again, the blade is away from you. The idea is that we want to get that sort of edge back on the knife, which you will do very, very quickly. From there, what I would suggest is every other time you use the knife, all you're doing is that, and that is plenty, and that is enough to maintain that edge. Another added advantage when you're working with one of these steels is that if you do have any bread knives, which have a serration on one side and flat on the other side, you'll see the serration is quite steep. The easiest way to work that is just to put that in there. It's quite a steep angle, but all you do is this. Again, none of this is rocket science. Even Mark can do this. Work that down, work it back down the other way. Flat on the back just to remove the burr. And again, you're getting a very, very keen edge on there. Also, if you're working with a knife which has a scalloped edge, like let's say this one, which you can see that's got a scalloped edge on there, and the same on this side. Exactly the same as the way we've just done that other knife. One side and the other side, nice and easy and light strokes. Whichever way round you want to do it, doesn't really bother me. A few strokes just to put that edge back on there, and you'll find that even with something like that, we are getting that sort of edge on there very, very easily. You do not want to use any of the lapping fluid on there in the kitchen. A bit messy, I would suggest. The diamond is electroplated into the core. Just the top third of the diamond sticks up through the unit. It's locked in there a bit like an iceberg. Over a period of time, you're going to clog this up, so you need to clean it down. One of the most effective ways to clean it down is with this cleaning block, which is an eraser. It needs to be one of these soft putty types. To give you an idea on one of these bigger blocks of how effective that is in cleaning them down, that's how it will remove any of the residue around. So every now and then, if you give your steel a good rub down with one of those cleaning blocks, it will just take out any of the excess that you've left in there. Maintenance wise, that's all there is to it. I've had my steel at home for 25 years now. If you look after these will go on and on and on. It's the same as anything in life. Pay for quality, it will give you very good service.